Page 77, 14 lines from the top of the page. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Nachman, כותל שבין שתי חצרות, צידו האחד גבוה 10 טפחים, וצידו אחד שווה לארץ, נותנים אותו לזה ששווה לארץ. So, he's speaking about the wall between the two properties. He has a situation that one side it's facing one courtyard, another side facing another courtyard. Now, the one side it's 10 handbreadth high, and the other side is equal, it's level with the ground, with the second courtyard. Again, this is 10 handbreadth. This is the size that is level in the ground of the courtyard. So Rashi said that it's not necessarily 10, can be anything below the 10 handbreadth. I explain in my book Biura Klomar Berashi al Hashas that it's not only Rashi, it's also Ran, and I quote, פירש רש"י ז"ל דלאו שווה ממש כאמר, אלא כל כמה דלא גבוה 10 עקר אלי שווה לארץ וכן עיקר. So the Ran said that it's not necessarily 10, can be anything that it's below. The Rosh said, and I quote here, the Rosh, פרק שביעי הלכה א', פירוש נמוך 10. So the Korban Netanel explained that the איש שווה לארץ אין כותל עליו ופשיט ידיו וחצרו של גבוה. So בקיצור, in short, the reason here the Rashi used the klomar, it means that it's not necessarily 10, can be anything that it's about. Now, because of that, we said that נותנים אותו לזה ששווה לארץ. So what we do, we're using the one is equal to the... Now, think together with me. What's the reason? Because this is controlled only in this part. It's called tashmisho bekashe, which means that it's hard to use it. Versus, the Gemara said, משום דהבה לזה תשמישו בנחת ולזה תשמישו בקשה, וכל הזה בנחת ולזה בקשה, נותנים לזה שתשמישו בנחת. Since this part, it's hard to go up. The Shulchan Aruch, the code said that it's very rarely that people go bother in this level, in this way. Since this is level in the ground, it's much easier to use. So therefore, they said that because it's so much easier and convenience to one party and difficult for the others, the sages granted to the one with whom they use it, it's most convenient. Let's face it, to put a produce here, it's very rare for people to do. So that's the rationale why they're using this part. Amar Rav Shizbi, Amar Rav Nachman. So Rav Shizbi said in the name of Rav Nachman, and now we're going to the next picture. Picture number 250. said, חריץ שבין שתי חצרות, צידו אחד עמוק 10 וצידו אחד שווה לארץ, נותנים אותו לזה ששווה לארץ משום דהבה לזה תשמישו בנחת ולזה תשמישו בקשה. Basically hold the same din. Everyone see it?
Yes.
It says that you have two properties. One house, two house, this is the yard. Now, if you look at the levels, it's the same principles. You see the levels?
Mm-hmm.
So he said, one have the 10 handbreadth, and the other, it's go the opposite, below. So because it go below, so you go to the one, it's go below. Why? Because if you think about it, what usually people goes but what is convenience for them, especially in our world, in our society, people living in a world of the instant and quick and easy, etc. So this is much easier to do. Now Rashi go further to explain, and he said a whole idea here, it's apply, they do the bitul on Shabbat. Okay, everyone see it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Why? Because for me, it's convenience. For you, makes no difference. So what do? You go with the guy, with the people that it's much easy for them. So one side is below the 10 handbreadth. The other one, it's not such a big difference, so you go to one who is below. Because again, the same idea, tashmisho benacha, this is easy. Tashmisho bekasher, this is hard. Clear?
Yes.
And now you need to use both. וצריך דאי השמינן כותל משום דגובה דמשתמשין שה, אבל חריז בעומקה לא משתמשין שהם לא. So you need both. Why? Because if since Rav Nachman explained that this wall usually people use because it's the height, so let's face it, people need to make a special effort to use it. It's high for them, and or you can go the opposite way. What are you saying? That if it's below, you see what's happening? People are scared to do it. It's too low for them, and therefore they're afraid that will something happen. It's too deep. Persons that it's troublesome that maybe bend down and place the item on a ditch. So you might say that it's not so much need by the residents of either courtyards. But basically you go by the idea that it's tashmisho benachad, whatever it's easy. Now we go to the next subject. We say that if you have between 2 yard a kotel, that's the next picture, 251. It's a 10 handbreadth and 4 handbreadth by 4, so you cannot put something at the top of that wall. So balemato, if he come and he try to make it smaller, which means he take off, as you see in this picture, he take off one of these, right? אם יש במיעוטו 4, מותר להשתמש בכל הכותל כולו. So Rashi explained that's a big machloket between Rashi and Ritva. If it's applied to the width, the rochav, or the orech. But anyway, what exactly he tried to reduce? But in short, what it said is, it says if it's reached the point that they have at least 4 handbreadth, either you go by the wide or by the Rashi by the orech. No, one by the wide, one by the length, right? So it's a machloket Rashi and Ritva. But anyway, so he said it's permitted to use the entire wall. Ve'im lav, if it doesn't have the 4 handbreadth, mishtameh and mishtameh shela keneged hamiud. You may use only the area of the all opposite diminished section, but no more. Now, so, meaning, if you think deeply about it, and some of you guys are engineers, so you know this story, it can be in one side 10 handbreadth, and the other side the less. Depending which angle you look at that wall. So, an example, if he put certain pieces of wood, or he cut it in a certain way, or he make some little, Rashi said, telafar, it's taba, it's all kind of thing that he put there. So the Gemara asks, Ma retzoncha? What do you try to say? Ma nafshach? What, whichever you look, it's difficult. אי מיעוטה בחולקות להשתמש, ואילו רעני אפילו כנגד המיעוט נמי לא. So they said, either way it's an issue. Because if you tell me that the minish was effective, so let them use the entire wall. And if you tell me that it's not effective, so therefore even in that little step, it's also not. Why? Because it's not an entrance. So what's the exactly helps when you have the 4 handbreadth allowed to carry? So you have to say that that's the only option, that he took one part. That's the only way to look at this. So he said, Rashi explained, because the minute he did that, it's considering a domain, reshut, and therefore it's like a exemption area. Remember Makom Ptur? So in that sense, the Mishnah Berurah in Shina in Bet, later we study it, it's called Keman Deleite. And it's very important to see here the Sha'ar HaTziyun. We do not have the time, but Sha'ar HaTziyun said, בלי גבוה 10 ורחב 4 נחשב לכלום. He says if he doesn't have the measurement of 10 by 4, it's nothing. Anyway, I urge you to see the Sha'ar HaTziyun in Shina in Bet. So, in other words, in this location it turned to be less, and it's Rashi said that it's below than 4 in the width. אמר רב יחיאל, כפה ספר ממעט. So Rav Yechiel said, you see here in 252, he take like this utensil, like basin, and he turn it around, and he put it close to the wall. So basically what happened here, you reduce the wall for our measurement is no longer 10 handbreadth. So therefore the people can use that yard. It's no longer 10 handbreadth. So they said ve'amai, and why you say it? דבר הניטל בשבת ודבר הניטל בשבת אינו ממעט. This is a portable item that you can take on Shabbat, and therefore it's considering like דבר ארעי. So it's something that you need something that it stand there the entire Shabbat, but here it's not applicable. So they say lo tzricha dechabre ba'ara. You have to say that he attached it to the ground. It's almost like he made it almost like permanent. Now the afar, the ground, it's muktzeh. It's set aside. So therefore, it's a problem. So since it attached to the ground, it's only helped that you reduce the size of the wall in that sense. Now, so they ask, "V'chi chabre be'ara mai havi?" So if he attached it to the ground, how that changed the situation, that is no longer something that can be carried on Shabbat. והתניא פגש התמינה בתבן וחרש התמינה בגחלים, היא מגולה מקצתה ניטלת בשבת. You said that if you have a fig that is not ready yet, it's uncooked, he put it before Shabbat on Friday, and he combined it in a teven, or harara, it's some type of cake in those days, that he combined it with a coal in order for that to be cooked. So even both, it's considering a set aside, it's muktzeh. So he said, so im megula miktzata, if part of that it's open, so you can move it on Shabbat, nitel b'Shabbat. Why? There is a concept we learn, if you remember in Shabbat, tiltul min hatzal letzorech davar mutar. So it means if you take something and you carry it as a side, indirectly, for that purpose it's okay. So how come Rav Yechiel said so that this reduce the size of the wall? So they said hacha b'may askinan the itlei ognaim. So here we talk about what? That they have, the basin have a rim. Okay? So he has something that it's coming out and it's clear. So it's considering, it's like someone who's digging. Now, if you remember when we studied Shabbat 73, we said that digging is one of the options. Either it's called choresh, meaning plowing, or you say the other one, it's called boneh, like building. So either way, it's an issue. So they said, if they have this type of ognaim, what's the problem? This ring. We learn that one who bury a turnip or a radish in the ground beneath the vine, for example, for the safekeeping. So he said, Bizman shemiktzat alav megulin, if some of the leaves of the radish or the turnip are showing. 77b. So he said, אינו חושש לו, שמקצת עליו מגולים, אינו חושש לו משום כליים, ולא משום מעשר, ולא משום שביעית, וניטלין בשבת. So he said, you don't have any concern of kilayim. Kilayim is a mixture. Here we talk about kilei kerem, the combination of using a vineyard, mixing with others. It's prohibited. So basically you can take a radish under this type of vineyard, because it's not considered, the Rashi said in Shabbat 51, it's not considering a planting, but in other words, you don't considering as a tolesh, it's like someone who's uprooted, and it's not considering a chofer, someone who's plowing, and it's not mashrish, it's someone who planting a seed. You should not concern about kilayim, a mixture of different varieties, and also not in maaser, because any produce of Eretz Yisrael need to bring a tithe, and one is the regular one that you bring it to the Levi, it's called the first one, and then it is a circle. You need to bring the second one, it's the first, the second, the fourth, the fifth year, it's the second one, it's eaten in Yerushalayim or Redeem, and then you have a 3 and a 6 that is for the poor people. So here we talk about a produce that already was tightened. So if you put them in the ground for a safeguard,
produce that was already tithed?
Tithe, yes. So he shouldn't worry about it. It's even it's something in addition. Tosfot said that it's only because of the ground is wet. But anyway, so it don't concern, and also not the issue of Shvi'it, which is the sabbatical year. So that you shouldn't worry about it, because basically the Mishnah teaches you can plant those produce that you put that grow in the 6 years. Or there are some Rishonim like the Chazon Ish and others. Chazon Ish said in Tractate Shvi'it, he said in chapter 12, page 12, he said that it's the planting those radish happened during the sabbatical year, and it's just addition, some type of addition that come out during that time. That so if this is the produce of a grew during the sabbatical year, it's called Isus Fichei Shvi'it. It's some additional to the sabbatical, so you should not worry about all of this. And he said, why? So the Ritva explained, because it's not attached to the ground in a permanent manner. The minute he move it, boom, a little bit, so it's out. So it's not considering the same as a plowing in the ground.
Plowing, right? Plowing.
So how and which way Rav Yechiel hold that you take this the basin that buried, that it reduce the heights of the wall. So he said lo tzricha debai mara vachatzina, that you need a hoe or a spade to remove it. So therefore it's a totally chofer, it's totally a digging. And all the Mefarshim, the Meiri, the Rashba, and the Ritva, they all say that it's prohibited by the Torah. Since that basin is connected to the ground in a total manner, so then it's chofer, it's a plowing. Now we go to the another halacha. I need again to use the book Meorot Hadaf, picture number 253. סולם המצרי אינו ממעט והצורי ממעט. Here you talk about Egyptian leather. So he said that which is small does not diminish the heights of the wall, whereas the larger, it's called tzori, tyrant leather, so it's effectively diminish the heights. You see the size of the other. So he said, Hey Chedami, Sulam HaMitzri. Give me an example of the Egyptian leather, which we characterize it. Amr Debe Anai Kol She'en Lo Arba'a Chavakim. You call it in Hebrew Shlivot. So the Rabbi Yanai said any leather that does not have 4 rungs.
Okay, less than 4 rungs.
You see here? Amar לרב אחא ברדרבא לרב אשי, מהי טעמה לסולם המצרי לא ממעט? What's the reason that Egyptian leather does not diminish the heights of the wall? So he explained the reason. It's because אמר לי לא שמיע לך דאמר רב אחא בר אבא דאמר רב הונונה אמר רבא משום דאמר לדבר שניטל בשבת וכל דבר שניטל בשבת אינו ממעט, because this is basically the object may be removed on Shabbat, which means it's a muktzeh, it's set aside. So therefore any object that may be moved on Shabbat does not diminish the height of the wall and cannot consider a permanent part of the wall. So Rashi explains that basically it's easy, kal laset, it's easy to move it from one place to another. So he said, Yache afilu tzori nami. Is that the case? Even the other one, the tyrant leather as well? So it's also not a muktzeh, not set aside, it's a end on Shabbat. It said hatam kovdo kovo. Over there it's a heaviness. Right? It's heavy. It's hard to remove it in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those letters have a heavy, they made it in a heavy way. אמר אביי, כותל שבין שתי חצרות. You have a wall between the two yard. גבוה 10 טפחים, it exceeded 10 hand breadth. והניח סולם 4 מכאן וסולם 4 מכאן. He put 2 letters, one very high here and one there. Rashi here used the word klomar, and I explained in my book what exactly involved here. That he said, "Afilu enam mechuvadim ze keneged ze." That even Rashi wants to emphasize that it's not necessarily that one it's a face or the other. So he said, "Mikan vesulam rachav 4 mikan ve'en ben ze leze 3 tfachim," and it's not a 3 hand breadth between them. So they said, "Mema et." So considering it's an entrance between the two yards, and if they wish they can make a joint eruv, but it says shlosha eno memaed. But if the gap between the two letters is less than is the 3 hand breadth or more,
Mm-hmm.
this does not diminish the heights of the wall. So Velo Amaran and all of that, what we said, now we are now in the next picture, 255. And all of that, what we said, apply only in what circumstance is the Ela de lo ave kotel arba'a, only if the wall it's not 4 hand breadth, the
So
width.
Less than 4 hand breadths thick, the wall?
Yes.
So they're saying, okay.
אבל have kotel arba'a, which means if they have the 4th, so it means that it's easy to walk here. You see, you got up with the ladder here, and it's easy to walk here,
Mm-hmm.
or this way, and it's easy to walk here. So they said, afilu muflag tuva name. Even if the one letter is greatly distanced from the other, it's permitted. Why? Because it's possible to walk in that thickness of the wall. The pair of the letters constitute a passageway between the two courtyards. Now, we go by basically the explanation of Rashi, that if you hold that that's basically the condition. But there's another way to look at this, and this is a picture 256.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone see it, Gil? You see
Yes.
it? Okay. אמר רב ביבי לרב אביי, בנה הצטבה על גב הצטבה, אם יש בהצטבה התחתונה 4 ממעט. So he said, if one build a wooden platform,
Mm-hmm.
a wooden platform, 4 hand breadth, and there's another wooden platform, 4 hand breadth, and what happened is, one it's above the other, and then in the lower is a 4 hand breadth wide. It's diminished the height of the wall to below the 10 hand breadth. It's diminished. Now, he said, Inamei, אין התחתונה 4 ויש בעליונה 4 ואין בין זה לזה 3 ממעט. Also, if you go and you said that this is less than 4 hand breadth, and this is less than 3 hand breadth, less than 3 hand breadth, less than 4 hand breadth.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, Mema 8. So it's diminished the heights of the wall, and the two platforms are considered as one. Next picture, 258. ואמר רב נחמן, אמר רבא ברב, הוא הסולם ששליבותיו פורחות. If it's a letter whose rungs are disconnected, look what happened to the rungs. It's a weird letter, right? Which means that there's a space between each shliva, and it's a different space. Now if you look the size, this is 4 handbreadth and this is below than 3 handbreadth, and this, the large one here, is in the 4 handbreadth. So אם יש בשליבה התחתונה 4, ממעט. If they have here 4 handbreadth, so it's diminished the heights of the wall. Or הינמי אין בשליבה התחתונה 4 ויש בשליבה העליונה 4 ואין בין לזה 3, ממעט. If here is below than 4, here is a 4, but here is below than 3, so again it's diminished the height of the walls, because the principle of lavud, remember lavud, which are the 3 joins the 2 rungs together. ואמר רב נחמן אמר רבא בר אבוה, זיז היוצא מן הכותל. So he said זיז היוצא מן הכותל 4 על 4 וניח עליו סולם כלשהו מיעטו. So he said, here you have this projection, 4 by 4 handbreadth area extends from the wall, and one place the ladder of any of with it against it. If the rungs of the ladder are less than 3 handbreadth apart, he has diminished the heights of the wall by means of the ladder and projection. So he said, ולא אמרנו לדעות ועליה, אבל דעות ובעדיה ארבוכי ארבחי. So it's only if it's עוד ועליה. You see here he put this part here. But if you place the adjunct of the projection is basically merely widen the projection while the letter remains separate from it. So it's fine, so it's not diminished the height of the wall. ואמר רב נחמן אמר רבא בר אבוה, כותל 19 צריך זיז אחד להתירו. He said that this is the wall, and this is the size of the 10 handbreadth. So he said, if a wall between 2 courtyards is 19 handbreadth high, is require 1 projection to render the use of the wall permitted. So this is below than 10 handbreadth, and this is from here, it's below than 10. So now you reduce the heights by using it. Okay? And he said, because you don't have from here to here 10, if you look carefully you see how they made it. From this point to here it's below than 10. So even the whole size is 19, but when you reach here it's below than 10. And he said, כותל 20 צריך 2 זיזים להתירו. But if the wall is 20 handbreadth high, picture number 261, and Rashi said, אחד קודם ל10 תחתונים ואחד למעלה ממנו בתוך 10 עליונים. So he said, look, this is the wall, and look what happened. You see how they do it? They made it that it's all together, it's 20 handbreadth, but you need to have two projections to render the use the word permitted. One within 10 breath, and the other from the ground, and the other within 10 breath from the top of the wall. אמר רב חיסדא, והוא שהעמידן זה שלא כנגד זה. Rav Chisda said that the condition is that it's not straight. You see, one is here, one is there. And he most probably made it in such a way that it's not dangerous, but the key is it's reduce the high by doing so. So he said this apply only when the positions, the projections, not directly one above the other. So that it's possible to use the ladder to climb from one projection to the other. Now, because we hold by halacha that mi'ut ba'avir, Rashi said and Ritva explained, it's not makes a difference. So basically, this part is below than 10. This part is below than 10, and this part is below than 10. You see this the chart here?
Mm-hmm.
So because of all of that, and because they are not straight one at the top of the others, so you can use it. Now let's go to practical halachot. First halacha is a Rambam, Hilchot Eiruvin, chapter 3. Charitz sheben shtei chatzerot, a ditch between two courtyards. If a ditch runs between two courtyards, and on one side the ground, the level of the courtyard is 10 handbreadth above the bottom of the ditch, while on the other side the ground level of the courtyard is far less than 10 handbreadth above the bottom of the ditch, then the residents of the second courtyard may utilize the ditch. That's the way the Gemara said, but also that the Tosfot and the Rosh in Shulchan Aruch Shinayin Bet 372 said if the height of the wall between the courtyard may be diminished to below 10 handbreadth by constructing a platform 4 handbreadth wide and 4 handbreadth long, because this permits the use of the entire wall. However, the platform is not considered a passageway between the courtyards unless it reaches the top of the wall. Akar chuliya merosho, if one removes a segment of brick or stone 4 handbreadths wide from the top of the wall, thereby diminishing the heights to less than 10 handbreadth, it's considering an opening. The two courtyard may then establish a joining of courtyard. In addition, it's permitted to use the entire wall on Shabbat. If the removed segment is less than 4 handbreadth wide, only the section of wall where the height was diminished may be used. Even if one did not diminish the height of the wall through the entire thickness, but diminished a section measuring 4 by 4 handbreadth, then the residents of the side where the height was diminished may use the entire wall. Now, if you remember, we talked also about the basing, the sefer that he put on the ground. So that's basically diminishing the height. So here we have not only the Vilna Gaon, but also the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Balatanya, follow Shinayin Bet, the Shulchan Aruch 372, and also the Taz. They said if the basing measuring 4 by 4 handbreadths is placed next to the wall, and thereby diminishing the height of the wall, it is permitted to use the area opposite the diminished section, provided the basing is securely attached to the ground with clay. Remember, you see the picture. This ruling is according to the conclusion of the Gemara, and as we said, some said, like the Taz said, that it's effective in regarding the entire wall permitted for use in the case of a ladder. We also discussed a little bit the kilaim, the diverse kind. If you have different products, and if one buries a a radish or a turnip in a vineyard, safekeeping, and leaves some of its leaves showing, he needs not to concern with regard to prohibition against planting diverse kind of in a vineyard. It's called Hilchot Kil'ain. And we said that if the turnip was buried in the ground for safekeeping with some of its leaves showing, it's permitted to remove it from the ground on Shabbat. It's not considering a muktzeh, like a set aside object. It's Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 3:11. We discuss also a letter. We talk about a trend and the Egyptian letters. A letter that does not have four rungs, such as the Egyptian letter, does not diminish the height of the wall against which it's placed, unless the letter is extremely heavy, and that's basically the Vilna Gaon and the Tosfot say that the heaviness, that's the only way to make a difference. We ask also about Sulamot Mishnei Tzdadim. If you have letters on both sides, if letters 4 handbreadths wide are placed against the wall on both sides, then the wall itself is 4 handbreadths wide, they effectively diminish the height of the wall, even if the letters are separated by more than 3 handbreadths. However, if the wall is less than 4 handbreadths wide, they effectively diminish the heights of the wall only when they are separated by less than 3 handbreadths. So he said, if one constructs a platform above another platform next to the wall, and the lower one is 4 by 4 handbreadths, or the upper one is 4 by 4 handbreadth, and is separated from the lower one by less than 3 handbreadth, it's not the issue of lavud. So they are diminished the heights of the wall. We ask also about sulam sheshlivotav porchot. That's Rambam Hilchot Eiruvin chapter 3. If a letter's rungs are disconnected, and the lowest rung of the letter is 4 handbreadths wide, and the gap between the rungs is smaller than 3 handbreadths, then the letter diminishes the height of the wall. Ziza yotze min hakotel, another 2 halachot. If a projection measuring 4 by 4 handbreadths extends from a wall, and the letter is placed against it, this diminishes the height of the wall. However, the height is not effectively diminished if one places the letter and adjusted to the projection. If the wall is 19 handbreadth high and has a single projection in the middle of it, you remember the last picture, its height may be diminished by means of a letter. However, if the height of the wall is 20 handbreadth, it requires 2 projections, one within 10 handbreadth of the ground, and the other one is within 10 handbreadth of the top of the wall. So then, in that sense, you measure that it's all less than 10 tefachim. Additionally, the projections may not be placed directly above one another, so have to be, in a sense, it's like almost like in a different location, but it's connected with the letter, and that way you can use it. Again, this Shulchan Aruch Shinayim Bet 372.